Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
And on this Camper Report Show, we are going up to the great state of Maine to visit one of the top 10 most visited national parks in the United States. And we're going to give you a brand new way of seeing that park.
Interesting. I've got a return engagement with Willie Miller, the national brand manager from Heartland RVs. We haven't had Willie on since 2021. Always vibrant, always alive, and you're going to love that interview.
Always a good time. Right here on the Camper Report Show. Bob, tell our audience where we get our news.
RV Business with Rick Kessler and Woodall's Campground Magazine with our friend Ben Quickle.
Stay with us, everybody. We got two great features and all the news of the week coming up right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
And welcome back to the Camper Report Show, everybody. My name is John DePietro. This is our news segment. He's Bob Zagami right over there. And Bob, there is some sad news to start with, but there's some exciting news and some new stuff going on in the RV industry. Why don't you start with an obit of a camping icon?
Yeah, David Gorin passed away recently, last weekend. David is an iconic, legendary feature personality in the campground industry. He's been the former chairman of ARVC, but he's been a leader on a lot of things. He's had other companies. He's had his own consulting company. He's worked with park developers. He set up the first park management training school for campground owners and employees. Just a wonderful guy and well known throughout the entire campground and the RV outdoor hospitality business. So sad passing on David Goring. Yeah.
On a brighter note, our friends at Blue Compass, formerly known as RV1, have completed their brand makeover, if you will, at least in the state of Florida. So tell us about what their plans are, about their new name and their new logo. We'll show that up there in a second, but they've at least got Florida done.
Yeah, I think this is going to be their strategy. And I think it's brilliant. Is they're going to rebrand every store in the country, and they've got over 120, 130 right now in the country. But I think they're going to do it state by state. And that makes sense. People travel through a state. Every one of them is going to have, in the case of Florida, where they have many, every one of them is going to have the Blue Compass branding on the buildings, on the shirts, on everything that they do. So if you do it state by state, you kind of control the imagery for them. And it's going to take a long time. It's part of their plan right now for the entire country. And talk about the ones that are up in New England. They don't have to do they don't have to do too many in New England. So
they're available right now with the brand Blue Compass in Vermont, which was formerly Vermont Country Camper, and New Hampshire, which was formerly New Hampshire Country Camper, and Connecticut. So they've got New England covered geographically, and I'm sure the signage will be changing. I'm sure the internal signs have already changed, the ones that they don't have to put the big neon signs up front. But, the service is going to be the same, but they're going to have a national brand, and everyone will recognize it as they travel down the interstate highways of these great United States. And talk about another brand that is national, that also has blue and white signage. It's our friends at Camping World, and they put a release out saying that they're doing something revolutionary in the industry, which is one store will carry one brand only. So if you go to a store in Leesburg, Florida, for example, they're only going to have a certain brand. If you go to another store in another part of the same state, they might only have Winnebago, etc. So they're talking about the capability to have efficiencies with one store, all the mechanics, all the techs being able to work on one brand. Talk about the controversy behind that announcement.
Well, they took liberty with words, saying that it was the first, an industry first, and it's not an industry first. Jayco has, in fact, had exclusive dealers, and many of them for a long time, and then people started to sell multiple brands. But even Airstream right now almost demands it of the newer dealerships that they're setting up. It's going to be Airstream of Tampa or Airstream of Washington. It's going to be totally branded and at one store, much like what Hummer did when they came out with the Hummer cars. They didn't sell other GM products. I like the strategy. I had it in the document imaging industry. You can only know so much about so many products. I think it makes it easier on the salespeople. They become more proficient on the products, becomes easier on the technicians. They
Yep.
become more proficient. You're dedicated to that particular brand.
Especially
And
parts.
conversely, that brand is going to be dedicated to you.
Yep. And especially parts. You don't have to stock 5 different of the same things from 5 different models. So we'll see how the efficiency goes.
The other thing that was interesting about the press release, they showed a picture of the very first one, and it's going to be in Morgan Hill, California. There's no Camping World sign on the signage. It's a big Jayco logo, says Morgan Hill. So it's like Morgan Hill Jayco. It's not Camping World at Morgan Hill. And it says sales and service. So when you look at that sign, you don't see Camping World. You see a branded dealership that is only going to sell, in that case, Jayco. That doesn't mean that every one that they do, and they're going to roll out a lot more of these, but it doesn't mean that every one of them is going to be Jayco.
Well, from a marketing perspective, you're going to have 2 different opinions on this. Number one, you want consistency. You want to see that sign that says Camping World, and because they are the largest in the country with their number of locations. And the other people say, well, you know what? We'll sell the brand instead. Who knows what's right? Because with marketing, there's no such thing as right or wrong until X number of years go by and you see that company is either tripled in size or they have a going out of business sign. So that'll be
well, and it gives the consumers a unique choice. I mean, if you really want a Jayco product, are you going to go to a Jayco dedicated dealership where the only thing on the lot is Jayco and probably a lot of their products and a lot of different floor plans? Or do you want to go to a dealer that sells Jayco, but also sells Winnebago, Forest River, Thor, or something else? Yep. And you have a smaller selection of Jayco. So it's good. The consumer will speak. The consumer will let them know if this is a good direction to go at this time. Yep.
Always does. And talk about Forest River and talk about Thor, just about 30 miles west of Elkhart, Indiana. News came out this week of a brand new $3 billion battery facility, manufacturing facility for EVs is breaking ground soon. And you know what? It's a partnership between General Motors and Samsung. And it's really going to be beneficial to the RV industry because all their sourcing for the batteries will be basically right down the street and not halfway around the country.
Yeah, I think it's great for the RV industry. I think it's great for Indiana and Michigan. They'll hire a lot of people. But with the controversy over a lot of our battery technology coming out of China, and yeah, maybe some of the technology or the plans come out of China, we'll have to see. But having it in the United States, creating jobs in the United States, creating a much shorter supply chain, better planning for the OEMs as they incorporate more electric vehicles. Yep. I think it's a win-win all the way around.
Yep. And it's going to be in New Carlisle, again, which is 15 miles west of South Bend, which is only 25 miles west of Elkhart. So battery news, signage news, and exclusivity all wrapped up in a short little package right here for our listeners and our viewers here on what show, Bob?
The Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Camper Report Show. And good old friend is back today, Willie Miller. And Willie's the national brand manager for Heartland. And he's in my corner. I appreciate it, Willie, very much. Nice to have you back on the show. It's actually been a couple of years when I checked the records the other day. And I said, we ought to get back in touch with Willie and catch up with him and see what's new in Heartland.
Absolutely. And I thought, hey, instead of seeing my nostril hairs 3 inches from a screen, I thought I'd come to you live from the Heartland Live Training Studio, another investment and endeavor that I've obviously been thankful to get the support of our leadership team to embrace really the things that you and other mentors have been telling me to do that would be a little bit different than the industry norm. And yeah, it's really excited to come to you from the live training studio today.
Well, you're not usually pinned down in a studio, though. You're all over the country. You're visiting dealers. You're visiting supplier friends. Tell us how the program's going, Willie.
Anytime somebody comes into a new role within our industry, obviously, you're going to look and say, okay, where did they come from before? Were they on the product side? Were they in sales as they kind of moved up? And I remind a lot of people, I have a lot of humility because I didn't grow up in this industry. I spent 15 years working in a different industry, more aerospace and mechanical. And so to kind of have fresh eyes or a different perspective, I've just been able to look at things not emotionally tied. This Bighorn wasn't my baby from the beginning. Any of the brands that we carry, they weren't mine. So because I don't have that attachment to the brand, I really focus on what I call VOC and VOD, voice of the customer and voice of the dealer. So, coming in, it's been nice that I do have a different perspective. So a lot of people see that it's different. The dealers, you obviously, and many others, and it's just been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot, since I was last on the Camper Report. Obviously, there's been a lot of activity happening, and I like to believe that all of these actions that we've been taking are going to make a difference for those that we serve.
Well, I think you're right, and I think the proof is in the pudding. You've been doing this now for well over 2 years, and they still have you doing the job. And in this industry, your runway is not usually that long if your plane's not getting off the ground. So
yeah, right, absolutely. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm so thankful to just the support of our team, all of our dealers, even our competitors. I've said, a lot. I have a lot of tremendous respect for some of your friends at Keystone, as you know. To me, they're our cousins, they're our family, as we're all under the Thor umbrella. But quite honestly, Bob, you've talked about it. A lot of people hint around it. I don't want to say we're a commodity business, but unless we have an exclusive product, lately we've been touting the air fryer. Well, thanks to our VP of purchasing, he was able to negotiate with Suburban, who's the supplier, that we would be exclusive for a limited period of time. Of course, that's going to expire, and when that does, I will fully expect many other manufacturers to have those air fryers. So, like I said, when everybody is putting gel in their hair and talking about how amazing their brand is, or, saying these fancy adjectives like we're relentless or obsessed, every business is. Everybody wants to win. And I think it just gets down to being simple, providing more communication, more information. That's what consumers want. They don't want me to tell them how amazing Bighorn is. They just want to consider it as an option. You can't sell the floor plan. You can't sell the interior decor. They either like it or they don't think it's good looking. And then outside of that, you just communicate open and honest, and be transparent with your supply chain. Hey, why did Heartland, get rid of what I think is not a good ladder? The old ladders that used to be bolted on that back wall, as you know, they're only rated to 200 pounds, so they couldn't hold me. So I'm sure that there's some customers that can't get on those very easily. So
yeah,
we went to
you can't hold Willie. They can't hold me either.
Right. So it's just it's about doing things that make sense, listening to the customers, taking action to deliver on what they have shared. So they said the ladders are difficult. So what have we done? We went to the Lippert prep system. This ladder will telescope. You can kick it out so you got a better angle to climb to the rooftop. It's rated to 330 pounds. To me, it's a better product. We've been doing, this is my little training table. We've been training our dealers coast to coast and our customers, being transparent. Nothing fancy. I don't think that we're the first to do this, but Heartland centralized all the wiring connections in an all-weather box that customers can now access, because you have been reporting on your various shows, there is a need for service workers, for the dealership. So it's a calling to us that we have to make things easier to maintain for customers. So if they damage their tow vehicle whip, in this case, they can make the repair themselves. So that's a big, advantage of a better ownership experience. And I'm just trying to focus on communicating that information that helps them have a better ownership experience.
Well, the key word is integrating the communications, because you could listen to it from the customer and then do nothing about it, or you could provide it to people and not give them the full explanation. So that, the new modern rules of marketing and PR say you've got to be close to your customer, because as you said, a lot of this stuff all sounds the same. And I'm a strong follower of David Merman Scott, and he's one of the best authors on sales and marketing principles. He says the same thing: talk to your customers. That's where you're going to find the issue. But you can't stop at the talk. You got to come up with the action. And you've given a couple of great examples there where you've had tremendous feedback from the people who are in these rigs every day, who are full-timing, part-timing, going on vacation. And they're saying, this might be better if we did it this way. And as I said before, I think you're seeing the fruits of your labor with the continuous improvements that Heartland's been able to bring out in various products, because you started out with, one or two product lines, but now as the national brand manager, you cover all of the Heartland products, all of the Heartland dealers, all of the Heartland customers.
Yeah.
So how do you select what you're going to do each day of the week, or for a particular project?
I think honestly, you just, every day I wake up and I listen. Sometimes it's been great vendors outside of manufacturing, people like campgrounds. There's a lot of information that I've learned that I think, many other manufacturers can learn as well by, again, getting in front of them and having a conversation, learning about the limitations on pull-through sites and realizing the importance of, hey, customers aren't just complaining. They really do have a size restriction. So our engineering team has to be cognizant of, we have to make coaches that fit the envelope size of some of these campgrounds. So as you know, in addition to our live training studio and more communication and transparency, I also have a podcast, the Heartland Launching Life's Journeys podcast. It's retail focused. So every time I have a guest on, we're discussing things that would benefit an RV owner. So I started interviewing campgrounds. MARVAC, the Michigan Association of RVs and Campgrounds, has hopped on and supported us. Same with the PRVCA for Hershey, the Florida RV Trade Association as well. And I have to believe that you have a hand in that as well. So I thank you. But what has been great is when all these other organizations come on, they give me so much information from their perspective. And I think that's why I keep hearing things like, Will, what you're doing is refreshing. Nobody's been doing that. Mostly they stand in the front of their, front profile of the coach and start talking about, again, how great they are. You're talking about the supply chain. You're talking about campgrounds and things that we're doing to make it more accessible and easier for the ownership experience. So that's what fuels me, that tells me this is still working, until I start seeing, some of our posts and the information that we're sharing stop getting shared and distributed, then I maybe have to pivot. But for right now, I think the industry wants this information. They want that transparency. They want to have a better ownership experience, and they want to have a better buying experience in a relationship with their dealers, which there's another topic of how this dealer landscape is changing so fast.
And it's going to continue changing. The consolidations are going to continue, and it's, you can make the argument on both sides of the fence on that. There's great benefits to large mega dealers, but there's great benefits to small family dealerships, and you get a chance to explain both, because there's different types of customers. Just as somebody might like the fifth wheel, somebody else wants the 28-foot travel trailer. But have you done any campgrounds up in New England? Because we got a couple of great ones that I want you to.
Not yet, and we're going to get those going. So when we talk about managing my time, that's what's really been crazy is since we started talking to, again, outside vendors, we've talked to Camp Spot, we've talked to guests that you've had as well on your various shows. And now all of a sudden, once that gets shared, well, then I'm getting requests of, hey, these 5 companies you have to get a hold of. And same with campgrounds. So, again, I'm not trying to monopolize the distribution of information, but I think every state, as you know, has so many amazing places to go to. Me, as a guilty resident of the state of Michigan, there's so many places that I haven't even gone in our great state. And I think that's what the RV industry, we just celebrated. I know that you were a big supporter of the Go RVing National Day. It's a reminder that there's so many places to see before you venture out west 900 miles. go to your own backyard. You know, we're discovering that there's more campgrounds than I was even ever aware of, just in the Midwest alone. Obviously, you know, you and I have talked offline. There's so many along the Eastern Seaboard. And it's just, like I said, I think that this is going to be something that we're just kind of getting started, and hopefully you and others start getting that word out and talking to more campgrounds, not from a standpoint of, again, I call the meat and potatoes, but just, hey, did you know that there's Oceanfront RV Park in Maine? Maybe. And who is that?
Oh, wait, speaking about that, did you see the story this week? Right on coastal southern Maine, we have in the York area, Libby's Campground celebrated their 100th anniversary. Most people didn't even know that campgrounds have been around for 100 years. They just thought people had spots in the woods, and they're right on the rocky coast of Maine. You could back that bighorn right up there, put that back window out, and look over the Atlantic Ocean, have your coffee there, watch the sunsets. It's amazing. 100 years old. We got Normandy Farms Campground in Foxborough, Mass. Always in the top 10 luxury campgrounds in the country. Always. Amazing family business going back to the 1700s as a family farm that evolved. And you're right. You could spend 52 weeks a year in just one state and uncover those gems.
That's the consensus about everything that we do. As a manufacturer, what has modeled, or what have we been told historically? You make the product, you go and train the dealers, and then you do nothing. It's up to them to get the word out. And I think the reverse is true. When we have this changing landscape, I'm not trying to devalue any dealer. We would not be in business today if it weren't for our dealer network and their support. However, what's wrong with a manufacturer doing more than they ever have in their history to build that following for people to be engaged with our brand, whether they choose us or not? So that way they're more interested to, hey, I want a Heartland, and I'm less concerned about where I buy it, because, you know, we have so many dealers that will provide a great buying experience, but you've done a lot more for the dealers. And so the reception, again, of this information, originally, when I talked to you and other mentors, my focus was the retail end consumer. But what we're actually finding is all this content that we've been able to produce, the dealers are actually taking it and using it because it adds value for them when they're telling the Heartland story. So it's been exciting.
So it is, and you've done a fantastic job. Our guest this morning has been Willie Miller, National Brand Manager at Heartland RVs. Willie's always a pleasure. Let's not make it 2 years again for the next updates. I'll slip you in the calendar for about a year out. But next time you're back in New England, I know you got some friends up here. Let's have dinner or an adult cocktail, and I'll give you some hints about the dealers and the campgrounds up in New England. Fair enough?
I would love to. Yep, sounds good. Love you, Bob. Thank you so much.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
So we are in beautiful Bar Harbor. If you're from New England, you say Bar Harbor. If you're from anywhere else, you say Bar Harbor. And as we were going through the town, we came across this thing that said Acadia Gem. And as I pull back, you'll see that it's more than just a golf cart. It's an electric vehicle, and we're here with Jacob. Jacob is one of the main cogs in making this operation work. Jacob, tell us about what Acadia Gem is and why it's cool.
Yeah, so Acadia Gem is, we have a fleet of 49 electric vehicles that we're able to rent out to people visiting the town who might want to experience the park in a different way, or have driven an RV and need a smaller vehicle to navigate the town. So we provide that service for you. We give you a good experience. You can take the doors off. Just a really great way to see the national park.
And you know, you said the magic words. RVers gravitate toward Bar Harbor because Acadia National Park, one of the top 10 national parks in the entire United States, is here. But these are quaint little streets and not that easily navigated with an RV. So you've kind of found a niche market, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. We found, especially like you're saying, with people who are coming in on an RV or coming in on a cruise ship who don't have a smaller vehicle to navigate these small roads, small parking spots. Same thing in the park. It can be difficult to find parking for an RV. So this is a great alternative to be able to get out there and navigate your way through the park and throughout town.
And a lot safer than those two-wheelers that just buzz by us, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so this looks like a four-seater. What do you offer for variety of units?
Great question. So with the gems, we have them available in a 2-seater, a 4-seater, or a 6-seater. So really, just about any size group you're with, we have something for you. And then we also do have a few electric cars that we rent out as well, and those hold about 5 people.
Okay, so Jacob, how about speeds on these vehicles?
So the gems do have a governor on them at 25 miles an hour. So they are restricted to roads 35 miles an hour or less.
I mean, you don't want to take it on the main turnpike anyway.
No,
that wouldn't be smart.
Doing that. No. And what's great about Bar Harbor and the park is this vehicle qualifies to be on all those roads. They are 35 or less. So yeah.
Okay, so speed. How about range? How far can you go? Because that's the other term.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk EVs, you got to talk range, and that's the big thing.
Absolutely.
Am I going to go up Cadillac Mountain and then run out of fuel?
Great question. So what's really cool is we've actually this past winter, we installed brand new lithium batteries in all of these.
Lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're going a lot further than in the past. You'd have no issue doing the entire Park Loop Road, going up to Cadillac Mountain and back. They get about 70 miles, depends on the size.
Yeah.
The 2-seaters can get up to 90, but
So if you have you and 5 football players with you, you'll probably be a little bit less.
Yeah, you get a little less, but still would be able to do the Loop Road and Cadillac Mountain, no problem.
Okay. Seat belts, secure. If it's rainy, what happens with the doors being off?
So yeah, the doors do come on and off, and we can do that fairly quickly. So if it's really up to you. Even if you start the day and it's a little chilly and you have the doors on, you can always swing by and we'll take the doors off for you.
Okay. Important things like a radio?
Yeah. So
there's even a radio?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. You were joking, but we really do. We've got Bluetooth speakers in all of these, so you can listen to your favorite music.
Your own
while
favorite
you're
music.
cruising the Park Loop Road. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to rent it for a day? How do the rentals go?
So we have a couple different options. We have half-day rentals, we have full-day rentals, and then we have multiple-day rentals. But so yeah, we can kind of cater our rental to whatever you're looking for.
Okay. And if people want to make reservations and find out more, where can they go?
They can go to acadiagem.com. From there, it'll have all of our pricing. It'll have more information on the vehicles. It'll show you exactly where you can and can't go. And on our website as well, you'll find our phone number, and we're happy to help answer any questions.
Okay, and before we let you go, if you're going to go to the beach or go somewhere, is there any storage or anything that you've got for towels?
So if you come around to this back side of the cart, all of the gems will have this really cool waterproof bag on the back, so you can put all of your stuff in here, whether it's backpacks, drinks, lunch,
okay, that's pretty good
anything like
size.
that.
I saw that, but I didn't know what it was. I thought it was part of the equipment.
Yeah, and like I said, it's totally waterproof. So if it rains on you, your stuff's not going to get wet. It's really cool.
Okay, and tell us where Bar Harbor is.
So Bar Harbor is located on Mount Desert Island, in Maine.
Maine.
Yep. Sorry, I was like, is it northern Maine? But yeah, so up in Maine, and we're located right at the base of Acadia National Park.
Okay, and I see it's registered, so the police know you're in town, right?
Yeah. Police know, park rangers know. We work with them on a daily basis to make sure that we're keeping everybody in the park safe.
Okay, so how about, Jacob, we go for a ride in this thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.